in this video, we're going to be talking about writing equations of lines and also graphing them. And the first thing we need to talk about is slope. Slope is a ratio of the vertical change to the corresponding horizontal change between 2 points. So the first point is x1, y1, second point is x2, y2. And so the vertical change, that's your up-down change, which is your rise, and the horizontal change is your left-right change called the run. So we would subtract the x values for the horizontal change, we would subtract your y values for the vertical change. And the equation is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So when we want to find the slope between 2 points, let's label them first. So this is the first coordinate, so this is x1, y1, and this is your second coordinate, so this would be your x sub 2 and y sub 2. And so the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and then we'll substitute our values in. So y2 is 4, and then y1 is 7, and x2 is a negative 2, minus x1 is a negative 3, so it's minus a minus 3, and 2 negatives make a positive, so we'll change that. So in the numerator, you have negative 3 over 1, so the slope is negative 3. And we'll take a look at that if we graph it. We go back 3, up 7. And the other one is back 2, up 4. Now if we draw a line, we see that yes, that is falling as we look from left to right, and it has a negative slope. So it's down 3 over 1, and that's our slope, down 3 over 1. All right, the next one, here's the x1, y1, x2, y2. So the slope formula says we subtract the y's, so it would be 1 minus 1. So those are the y's, and then we subtract the x's, minus 4 minus 3. That gives us 0 over negative 7, and 0 divided by anything is 0. So the slope between those 2 points is 0. Now let's take a look at those. 3, 1 is right here. Negative 4, 1 is here. If you graph that line, you'll notice that is a horizontal line. So when you have a slope of 0, the line is horizontal. And then we'll do one more. So first we're going to subtract the y values. So 1 minus a minus 3 would be plus 3, and 7 minus 7, so that would be 4 over 0. And in math we can't divide by 0, so that is undefined. And if we graph those points, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, negative 3, and 7, 1. So if you draw the line between those points, you see that that is a vertical line. So when you have an undefined slope, you have a vertical line. So just to review, if the slope is positive, the line will rise from left to right, and when it's negative, your line will fall. When you have a horizontal line, the slope is 0. And one thing to keep in mind here, you'll notice if you want to write the equation, horizontal lines are y equals. It's kind of like an upside down H is the trick I use to remember that. But you look at what is the value on the y-axis that we're going through, it's 2. So the equation of that line would be y equals 2. Let's say you have y equals negative 1. Well, then you would go to negative 1 on the y-axis, and you would just draw a horizontal line there. Vertical lines, those are x equals. So in this case, the value of x is always negative 2. So these are x equals. If we have x equals 1, for example, we'd go over to 1 on the x-axis and draw a vertical line. So I always think about, there's like 2 little v's stuck together to make an X, and so V for vertical line, I somehow try to connect that to help me remember it. All right, slope-intercept form of an equation is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and 0b is the y-intercept. So in this case, it says write the equation of the line shown. Well, the y-intercept is at 0, -2, so that's your b. And your slope, well, we can look at the 2 points, and we can figure out the slope by doing rise over run. So to travel from one point to the next, you would have to go up 2 and over 4. So up 2 and to the right 4. So the slope is 1/2 if we reduce that. So to write the equation, let's see, we need to substitute in the slope and the y-intercept. So y equals 1/2 x minus 2. That would be your answer. Next, it says, what is the equation of each line? They give us that the slope is 1/5 and the y-intercept is 0, -3. So y equals 1/5 x minus 3. The next problem says, write the equation in slope-intercept form. What are the slope and y-intercept? Well, slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. You'll notice the y is by itself, which means if we want our equation to be in slope-intercept, we have to solve for y. So first we isolate the y term. So we'll subtract 5x from both sides. And then to get y by itself, it's getting multiplied by -4, so we divide by -4. But if we divide this side by -4, everything over here needs to get divided by -4. So then we have to simplify, so y equals -5 x minus 4. And then to identify our slope and y-intercept, the slope, that's the term in front of the x, your coefficient there, and your y-intercept is a -4, or it's at 0, -4 as far as the coordinate. And here we need to get in slope-intercept form, and we have fractions going on, and the strategy I like to use when we have fractions is to just get rid of them. And the way we can do that is use the multiplication property of equality. Now the common denominator between 2 and 4 would be 4, the lowest common denominator. So what I'm going to do is multiply each term by 4. So if we distribute, we would have -12 x plus 4/2 y equals -4, which simplifies to -3x plus 2y equals -4. And now it'll be a little bit easier to solve for y. And then lastly, we divide everything by 2. So y equals 3/2 x minus 2. So our slope is 3/2, and our y-intercept is a -2. Next, we're going to do some graphing. What is the graph of -2x plus y equals 1? Now, there are a variety of ways we could do this. We could make an xy chart. We could look at the intercepts. But this one would be fairly easy to do if we get it into slope-intercept form. So y is equal to 2x plus 1. So to graph, the first thing we want to do is plot the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is 1, so that would be 0. Here's our y-axis. So on the y-axis, we go to 1. And then the slope is 2, which is 2 over 1. So the rise is up 2 and the run is 1. So up 2 over 1. Or, remember, -2 over -1 is the same as a +2, so we could go down 2, back 1, down 2, back 1, down 2, back 1. And so here's our line. And here's another one. We will first isolate the y term. And then divide everything by -7. So y equals 4/7 x minus 2. So here to graph it, the y-intercept is at -2. So on the y-axis, we will go to -2. And then the rise is 4 and the run is 7. So we will go up 4 over 7. And then we can draw our line. All right, if you have any questions on this lesson, get a hold of me. Thanks, bye-bye.